I think for many young adults in their early 20s to mid 20s, maybe even into their early 30s, the script has always been the same. If you want to be successful, you graduate from college, you take that degree, you go get a job. You enter as a entry level grunt, you work hard, you get those promotions, and boom, you're successful. Climbing the ladder was the typical path of success. That's what it was. That was your golden ticket to a life of quote unquote riches and happiness. What I personally think that as a 20 something year old engineer working in corporate, I think it's BS. I don't think the typical path works anymore. Why do I say that? Well, back in the day, I think that there was more loyalty between a company and an employee, and it was seen as a two-way street. When you sign that employment contract, as an employee, you're promising the company that you're going to do work for them. You're going to bring them the ROI they want. You're going to hit their target numbers. And the company is promising you something in return. They're saying that as long as you can do that for me, we will take care of you. That's how it was back in the day. Back then, layoffs were looked down upon. They were seen as a failure of the company. And longer hours that an employee spent in the office was more honorable. Showing face was more honorable. And they were rewarded for it. That was seen. They would get the pay raises they wanted. They would get the promotion cycles that they wanted. And climbing the ladder was successful for them. This agenda was always pushed by older generations. It was pushed by my parents as well because it worked for them. Not to say that it doesn't work at all anymore. I don't want to say that it's absolutely obsolete these days, but I will say that it's not nearly as effective anymore. I think one of the main reasons why this system doesn't work anymore is because the pawns stopped playing it. Gen Z felt a sociological shift, which values freedom and independence over climbing this ladder. Younger generations are abandoning the system that promotes dedicating your life to a company and the toxicity that accompanies it. There are tons of studies and news articles showcasing how the number of Gen Z employees that want to reach management or leadership positions are just declining sharply compared to past generations. And honestly, I don't even need to tell you that there are studies about that. You can just sense it if you work in corporate, you know. Personally, like I even had my manager ask me, he said, "What are your career paths? Do you want to eventually become, a manager or a team lead?" I told him no right to his face. I said, "Not really. That's not what I'm willing to do." I've had a couple friends, get offered the same things and they all rejected it. I can't speak about corporate life between the 80s and the early 2000s, but I can speak for it in terms of current day tech. And honestly, it's just a bunch of toxic BS. And I'm going to give a few examples, but these are all perspectives from tech because I am a software engineer. So that's really the only intelligible perspective I can give. I think that the loyalty between the employee and the company has degraded to a one-way street where the company just expects all these things from their employees, but really give nothing back other than obviously pay and benefit. Because if they didn't, that's just slave labor, right? Some of the few examples I can think of which, are representative of the toxicity of corporate are layoffs. If you've been living under a rock in 2025 or 2026, you wouldn't know, but there are a ton of layoffs going on in tech and by big names too. Meta, Amazon, you name it. They're literally throwing away some of the smartest engineers the world has seen by the thousands. And they do this like regularly, sometimes multiple times a year. Laying off these employees are seen as the first method of freeing up cash, whether they want to use that cash for company-wide shifts for AI or whatever kind of BS agenda they want to throw at you or reasoning, it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, they're throwing you away. Back in the day, the 80s or the 90s, laying people off was the last line of defense, and it was seen as a failure of the company. CEOs would literally publicly apologize to their employees and take accountability for a failure of the company as the reason why they had to lay people off. Nowadays, they're just throwing people away, laying off, laying off. Oh, we're running out of money, let's just lay people off. Oh, we didn't hit our shareholder value targets, let's just lay people off. Right? Let me go free up some more cash by laying people off. And also, there's these quotas on management at some companies where they literally tell management that they need to cull X% of their team in order to adhere to company wide shifts towards AI adoption or to save money. Like they'll literally have a team of 10 of the most intelligent people that you have ever seen in your life and tell the team lead, hey, I need you to lay two of these people off. Pick two. Pick your least favorite two. How is that not toxic? If all 10 of them are like some of the smartest people you've seen, all qualified, all hitting their numbers, and a manager is just forced to pick two people to let go to save the company a little bit of money, that's horrible, man. That is actually such a failure, and that is so BS. How could anyone be loyal to a company that has a policy like that? Another part of corporate life is literally stepping on other people and throwing your peers under the bus to boost your own metrics. Dude, half of these jobs, half of these positions in corporate are so fake. We have made up our own problems and we have made positions to solve these fake problems. And they aren't even the people being targeted in some of these layoffs. Now, sure, some of them are, but a lot of the engineers, the grunts doing the dirty work, are the ones being laid off. You have to have some cold heart to work in middle management because you are straight up making people's lives harder and ruining people's lives by just laying them off and throwing them away and shooting them in the foot just to boost yourself up a little bit. That's the true nature of corporate life in America and probably in some other countries as well. And honestly, like that toxicity just sucks, man. Like whether you're the one committing it or the victim of it, like it just sucks. Another part, which is a little bit more specific to tech, is that there are some ridiculously ritualistic interview processes. For those of you who have done technical interviews, they suck, dude. They are the most soul sucking thing that I have ever experienced in my goddamn life. You sit there for multiple rounds, somewhere anywhere between like 3 and 8 rounds of interviews, while they just spew a bunch of corporate jargon at you and they only accept those that fit their mold. It's like, oh, we need someone that aligns with our company values, which is, A, B, C, D, all of it's fake. Their own company values to make money, realistically. Like, don't believe any of that stuff that they say. And then you sit there and you grind and you study leak code for months and you practice and you memorize solutions because none of those interview questions are actually indicative of your intelligence. All they really show is how much work and studying are you willing to put in for us and how much can you memorize for our interview. And then you could do all of that and sacrifice months of your life for this one interview and then still get rejected and thrown away. That's awful. Now, I understand both sides of it, I guess. On the company side, I know that, they get a lot of bad applicants and they have to filter them out somehow. But pick a better process. So many completely qualified candidates, experienced candidates, people that would have done great work for these companies get tossed away in the trash, get their resume not even read without even getting a chance, right? And for the lucky few that actually get in, congratulations. But for a lot of them, within 6 months, 8 months, 1 year, they get thrown away via a layoff. Imagine doing all that work for a company, sacrificing months of your life to do this interview, perfect your craft. You nail that interview, you're ecstatic, you tell mom and dad you got the interview, and then 6 months later, the company throws you away because they are quote unquote restructuring for AI purposes. That'll make anyone go crazy. And if you look at that kind of example, how can you really blame Gen Z for feeling the way they do about corporate and climbing that ladder? And the last example I want to bring up is nowadays there are so many promotions that don't give you a pay bump alongside it. For a lot of companies, pay raises and promotions are decoupled, right? You can get promotions without pay raises and pay raises without promotions. If you're just getting promotion, a lot of times they'll be like, congratulations, we want to promote you to senior level. At senior level, we're going to expect more hours from you. We're going to give you twice the workload. You're going to start managing people, and we're going to pay you the same. And by the same, I mean technically less because inflation. Who the hell would want to do that? More duties, longer hours, less work-life balance, and the same pay. Why would I strive for a promotion when a raise is all I really care about? A boomer might argue, oh, you should go for that promotion because it's good career growth. You'll get to learn a lot more and build your career. Okay, I can build my career in terms of I get another label and another letter or a number that I can put on LinkedIn. And then when I take my credentials to another company, I can go do another BS interview for them, get rejected and thrown away by them because nobody actually cares about what your label is. They really just care whether you can prove your skills in front of them. And then a company takes me in, right, because of my position, and they do the same thing to me over there. Rinse and repeat for the rest of my life. That is not worth somebody's life. We as humans are not meant to be sitting in a cubicle for 10 hours a day staring at a screen. That is not a life you want to live. Going on vacation once a year, seeing the sun maybe 2 hours a day. That is life in a dog kennel. And so Gen Z has internalized all this and they said, hey, screw that. I'm not doing any of that. I'm valuing my independence, my family, my friends, my free time, my hobbies, my sanity over anything. You want me to work for you? I'll do it. I'll work my 40 hours. I'll get my tasks done. But if you want anything more than that, you can shove it. Or you can give me the pay raise to justify it. So what do you call this, right? A lot of older generations call us lazy. You're lazy. You're selfish. All you care about is yourself. Well, you're damn right, because this is just a shift in values. This is just where our mentality has gone. Because Gen Z has, not to say this is the reasoning, but we've always kind of been rebellious. So call us bratty teens if you want to say, but at the end of the day, if a company is gonna go and treat us like garbage, why are we gonna put in more than we need to, right? I would just say that it's Gen Z having a backbone, and we aren't willing to be used and thrown away by a greedy corporation. I know that I'm not. I go to work, I do my 40, I do my 40 well, mind you, and that is it. If you want to call me on a Saturday, well, you can wait till Monday. I just set my boundaries because I value my free time. I value my hobbies. One of the hobbies that I really wanted to start doing was kind of just spilling my thoughts the way I am right now, playing video games again, going to see my friends again, vlogging, traveling, right? If I want to die in 1 year, you best believe I'm not stepping foot into the office again. Going to work is a means to an end, and I think a lot of people forget that, right? Except for the select few that genuinely enjoy going to work. If that's what you genuinely enjoy, you do that, right? Do what you want to do what you actually enjoy doing, but make sure that you set your boundaries, right? There's a balance to everything. It's a balancing act. There's your responsibilities and duties, which are obviously going to work and paying the bills, but you shouldn't let that take over your life because that isn't your life. So, all said and done, I want to say that for the record, I don't think that the old school of thinking, which as we mentioned was climbing the ladder, or this new school of generation of thinking are particularly wrong. I don't think either of them are wrong because they were adjusted to the times. What worked for the old guys worked for them, obviously. So if that's the mentality they grew up with, we can't dog on them for believing that way. But at least for the new school, it's just not the case. We cannot deny that the structure of what works and what doesn't in society evolves over time, and so do the people that play along with it. It sounds like I'm just saying be lazy, work, don't work hard and just focus on your life. No, right? As I said, there are responsibilities and duties that everybody has. So be responsible, right? It's a balancing act. The traditional axiom of hard work positions yourself for better outcomes has not been retired and it never will be retired. But I think that is missing half the battle. The other half is working cleverly, which is much more complex as it evolves with the times. So obviously, you want to work hard, but if you're working hard for some outcome that you can achieve by just working smarter, work smarter. If you're working hard knowing that you're not going to get an outcome that you want, or you have a very low possibility of getting the outcome that you want, why even do it? You're wasting your energy that you can be putting to other things in your life, that you can be dedicating to other things that you value outside of your career and your occupation. And there should be things that you value outside of your career and occupation. So I think that all in all, Gen Z has kind of just adopted this new mindset. We've grown a backbone and we're kind of just valuing ourselves. With the current state of society, the economy, and the market running away from the younger generations, it's not hard to see where this mentality is coming from. Instead of succumbing to the feelings of failure and, oh, I'm never going to own a house, and just being depressed all the time, a lot of these young people, including myself, have adopted a mindset of, hey, let me do what I need to do, but let me enjoy my life at the same time. Call it a different font of living fast and dying young.